Good evening, guys. Welcome to Yin, my favourite time of the week. I hope you're all doing well, and that you have all your props to hand, and that you've created a nice little cosy space for yourself. I think when I'm practicing yoga, I love that ritual of lighting the candles, the incense, and creating that nice space for yourself. And a big part of our yoga practice actually is creating space for ourselves, creating space for our minds, space for our hearts, space for our bodies. And so that ritual that we create of preparing our space for our practice is really important as well. So I hope you're all good and you're ready for some relaxation and some switch off time. We've been working a little bit with the Yamas the last couple of weeks. So the Yamas, the first limb of yoga, there's 8 limbs of yoga, and Yamas the first limb. And they're really like moral codes, moral disciplines, and they just get us thinking really a little bit about how we live our lives and how we are with ourselves, how we treat ourselves, how we treat others, and how we treat the environment around us as well. So this evening, we're going to be looking at a stayer, which means non-stealing. So we'll delve a little bit deeper into that as we come through the practice. So finding a comfortable seat. If that's cross-legged for you, then come to a cross-legged seat. You might like to sit on the edge of a cushion, or you might like to come to kneel like I am, one knee either side of a bolster. So just take in whichever seat feels the most comfortable for you. And you can either have palms face down or palms face up. And just gently now beginning to close the eyes down. Giving your body and your mind just time to settle. Sometimes it takes a little while just for the mind and body just to switch off from the external world and begin to come into this space with ourselves. And a great way that we can begin to become a little bit more present with ourselves is to bring our awareness to our bodies, noticing how our bodies are feeling. Maybe gently scanning from the soles of the feet all the way up to the crown of the head. Noticing any parts of the body that might be feeling a little tight, a little tense. Acknowledging how your body feels today, whether it feels heavy or whether it feels light, somewhere in between. A big part of what we're going through in our lives, emotional things and events that happen, a lot of the time we carry it in our bodies, and we can feel it in our bodies if we're feeling low mood, low energy. Bodies might feel quite heavy, it feels like we're dragging our body around. And other days when we feel quite buoyant and quite uplifted, we feel really light in our bodies. So we always take these first few moments in our practice to really check in and notice how we're feeling. And that's a big reason why we practice our yoga, isn't it? Just to really check in with ourselves, create space for ourselves, and to connect with ourselves. So taking these first few moments now just to notice where you're at today, how your body is, how your mood is, how your heart feels, how your mind is. And just accepting where that is. No need to change it for the moment, just accepting it where it is. And as you begin to drop a little deeper into your stillness now, beginning to connect with your breath. Noticing how your breath is in this moment. Maybe it feels nice and still and calm. Maybe it feels like it's getting stuck somewhere. So just really connecting and noticing how your breath feels. And as you take these first few moments, dropping deeper into your stillness, into your silence, I'm going to read you a little bit about this Siemens Yama called Asteya. Asteya means the practice of non-stealing. And in a physical sense, we can steal from ourselves when we compare ourselves to others, when we are not appreciative of our body we have at the moment, or when we push ourselves beyond our limits. We can steal from our source of energy if we don't breathe properly, if we don't look after our body or have gratitude for our life as it is. We take from ourselves when we lack compassion and understanding for ourselves in times of ill health, sorrow, or times of significant change. We steal from ourselves when we look outside of our innate wisdom to get answers from others. We steal from ourselves when we are not present in this moment. And Yin is a practice of giving back, of non-stealing. Practice asks us not to take more than we need or move beyond our limits. It asks us to breathe, not just in, but to fully exhale, to give as well as take. It is a practice of self-care and allowing. And we start with the fullness of what we have and we move from there. Most importantly, it is a practice of being present. Being here for yourself in any capacity is the greatest gift you can give to yourself. Just inviting you now just to take a deep inhale through the nose, sigh out through the mouth, allowing that exhale to take away any tension. Taking 2 more like this, nice deep inhale. Letting everything go. Nice deep inhale. Letting everything go. Keeping the eyes closed now, just bringing palms of the hands together and just giving the palms a little rub. Create a little heat in the palms. And placing those palms over your closed eyes. Feeling the heat that you've generated here. And when you're ready, just gently beginning to blink the eyes open. And just releasing the hands down. So we're going to come into a really restful pose to start with. It's like Savasana but on the front body. It's called Crocodile Pose. So just moving any props to one side for the moment, and it'd be really nice if you had a blanket and you folded it so that your pelvis has something nice and soft to lie on, but you want the blanket to be nice and flat, so you don't want it to be like a mound or anything like that, nice and flat here. I'm just coming to lie on your front body here. So the pelvic area, the hips are nice and cushioned. I'm going to create a little pillow with the hands, one hand on top of the other. And just bring the forehead to rest on the back of the hands. So I'm going to lift my head so you can hear what I'm saying. But I want you to bring the forehead back down onto the back of the hands here. And just take this time, just allowing your body to settle. Okay, so we're going to start with the soles, with the feet, the tops of the feet. Just allowing the tops of the feet just to rest on the earth. Beginning to relax the ankle joints. Relaxing the shins and the knees. Allowing the thighs to soften and to release. And allowing the hip bones, pubic bone, the whole of the pelvic area just to ground down into the earth. Allow the ground to take the weight of your bones. Allow your belly to soften here. Relaxing your belly. Maybe you can begin to soften your rib cage. Maybe bring in some awareness to your breath. So on the inhale, you might feel the sensation of the rib cage pressing into the earth. Or maybe you'll feel like you're moving the breath into the back of the rib cage, noticing how the back body rises on the inhale, falls on the exhale. Maybe you can begin to soften the shoulders now. Allow the shoulders to relax. Allow the armpits to open and soften. Forearms to relax. Inviting some softness into the neck and the throat. Releasing the jaws. Allowing the lower jaw to fall away from the upper jaw. Inviting some softness into the face. Allowing the cheeks to relax. The eyes to relax. The forehead to soften. Bringing your whole awareness to the front of your body. Resting here on the ground. Noticing how it feels to be supported by the earth beneath you. Staying here in your stillness. Enjoying these moments of deep rest. Just taking a couple more breaths here now. And then I'm going to invite you to bring a little movement into the body. Just gently beginning to rock the hips from side to side. And when you're ready, just gently beginning to lift the forehead, bringing the hands underneath the shoulders. Push it up into your tabletop. So we're going to come into our melting heart pose here. So you're going to come into your tabletop. Hips are stacked over knees, okay? Shoulders over wrists. The melting heart can be quite a strong pose, especially if you have tight shoulders. So I'm going to give you a couple of alternatives, okay? I'll show you the full version of the pose. It's really important that you keep the hips where they are and you walk the hands as far forward as you can. And then release the chin or the forehead down to the earth. What some people tend to do is they push back like this, and this is like a child's pose. We're not really going to get into the shoulders at all here. So we want to keep those hips nice and high over the knees, and then release the chin or the chest or the forehead down. That might feel a bit intense for some of you, so I'd suggest that you bend the right forearm, keep the left arm extended, and bring the forehead onto the back of the forearm or onto the earth. Softens that sense of intensity into the shoulders. Another alternative, if you want to keep both arms extended, is to bring your forehead down onto a block. So just noticing which option feels right for you, having a little experiment before you come into it. And then sticking with the option that feels right for you. So I'm going to bend my forearm and bring my forehead down. You want the shoulders to relax here. Again, I'm going to lift my head so you can hear me talk. You want the shoulders to kind of soften here. Sometimes we don't realise how much tension we're holding in the shoulders. So just beginning to tune into that space now, and you'll notice if you're holding the shoulders in any way. Maybe they feel quite tight. And so we stay in the yin pose a little longer. And you'll notice the longer we stay in the yin pose, the sensations might get stronger, but the body normally tends to soften and to give a little bit. And this is normally because the nervous system realizes that once the body's been in the pose for a little while, that it's actually safe. And therefore it allows the body, the muscles, to begin to relax a little deeper. So noticing when you first come into your yin pose, there might be a holding, a grasping sensation, a tightness. Just see if you can breathe into it and allow it to soften. Remembering that there'll be some poses that you do feel and experience discomfort in. You should never feel any type of pain in your yoga practice. If it feels too uncomfortable at any time, just gently making your way out of the pose. Stay in here for a few more moments. When you're ready now, then begin to press into the forearms. Very slowly, beginning to walk the hands back to the knees. And coming to sit back on the heels. So pause in here for a moment. You can bring the palms to rest on the thighs. Maybe closing the eyes again. Try not to move too much. So I want to stay with that rebound. So noticing those sensations around the heart center, around the shoulder blades. Just staying present with any sensations that you're experiencing right now. Noticing how that energy is moving. Yin practice, we're helping things to become unstuck in the body, and that may be in terms of physical muscles, tendons, ligaments, and also energy. Helping things to move and to flow a little easier. When you're ready, just gently begin to blink the eyes open. It might be that you feel that you need to roll the shoulders a little bit here, or give the shoulders a little bit of a shake. Just taking any gentle movements just to help your body release. So we're going to come back into our tabletop now. We're going to come into a tabletop twist. So coming onto all fours again. You're going to keep that left hand on the floor this time and bring right fingertips to sky. So you're opening up through that right armpit. And as you exhale, you're threading that right hand underneath that left armpit. The right shoulder's resting down, but the option to keep that left hand where it is, or you can bring the back of that left hand onto the sacrum, or round to take hold of the upper right thigh. So just choosing whichever option feels the best for your shoulder here. Allowing that right shoulder that's grounded on the earth just to soften and to release. So again, like a melted heart pose, you want that sensation that the upper body is just sinking down into the earth. Maybe it feels a little easier when that sensation is on the shoulder as opposed to in the heart space. So just gently closing the eyes, allowing the body to settle. Any pose that we have with the head below the heart is said to be really calming for the nervous system. Obviously some inversions are more relaxing than others. So bringing compression into that right shoulder. We're feeling a lot of the body weight pressing down into that right shoulder. So you might feel experiences, sensations of numbness or tingling sensations. That's normal. When we release out of this pose, we're bringing fresh blood, fresh energy back into that shoulder joint. Times in our practice where we're just here in silence, allowing yourself just to be with your experience, to observe any thoughts or emotions that arise. For some of us, dropping into that stillness and that silence can feel really nice and really comforting and relaxing. And sometimes for others it can feel a little challenging. Maybe the mind begins to get bored or begins to wonder. Or maybe you might feel like the body wants to fidget. So just noticing where you're at today. There might be days where you feel like that. And see if you can resist the urge to move and just be with your stillness. Taking a couple more breaths here now. And when you're ready, you're going to release that left hand down onto the floor. Begin to press into that left palm. Release that right shoulder and bring that right hand down onto the earth. Just staying here for a moment in your tabletop. And we're going to make our way over to the other side now. So we're going to inhale left fingertips to sky. Open up through that left armpit. Exhale to thread left hand underneath right armpit. Bringing left ear to rest on the mat. Option to keep right hand where it is or bring it round to rest on the sacrum or round to take hold of the upper left thigh. So just doing whatever feels most comfortable for that right shoulder. You might notice one side feels more comfortable than the other. Noticing how this side feels compared to the other. Just allowing the whole of the upper body just to let go here and to sink into the floor. You might feel that the side of the face begins to squish a little bit into the blanket or into the mat. That's okay, just going with it. Allowing this, letting go, this compression. few more moments here. Taking a couple more breaths now, and when you're ready, we're going to slowly prepare to come out of the pose, bringing that right hand on the floor, left hand on the floor. I'm just going to sit back onto the heels here, bringing the hands back onto the thighs, taking a moment to pause, finding that length in the spine, keeping the eyes closed, focus inwards. Beginning to notice the effects of the practice. When you're ready, just gently beginning to blink the eyes open. So we're going to go into Caterpillar Pose. So Caterpillar is a forward fold. Now, if like me you find forward folds a little tricky, I'd suggest that you have a folded blanket or a cushion and you come to sit on the edge of your blanket or your cushion to give yourself a little bit of a lift up out of the hips. So you just come down to the very edge of it. Okay. Two options for your caterpillar. You can either bring your bolster or your pillows onto the legs. So the legs are extended in both postures. And you're beginning to hinge forward at the hips and coming to rest on your bolster. I suggest if you have a cushion or a block, just allow the forehead to be supported by the cushion or the block. We're actually targeting in this pose the lower back, the lumbar spine, also the hamstrings in this version of caterpillar. So you want the upper body to be as comfortable as possible. So you want the head to be supported. And just bring the arms either side of the body, just relax the shoulders. Option number one for caterpillar. Option number two, which means that you still are working with the lumbar spine, but not really with the hamstrings so much, is to bring the bolster or the pillows, the backs, the knees, and then beginning to drape yourself over your thighs. Now, if you've got a cushion or a blanket, I'd suggest you place the blanket or cushion here. So you want to feel that your torso is lying on either the blanket or your thighs here. And then releasing the forehead down. So again, if you've got a block, you might want to bring it in between the knees so you can release the forehead down. So just choose the option that feels right for your body at the moment. I'm going to stay in this option. Just taking time just to get yourself in the position. And allowing the body just to drop into its stillness. Remember, in our yin practice, we're working with that edge. So you want to feel some degree of sensation. You don't want to go beyond that edge that would feel any pain or causing any injury. On a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being no sensation at all and 10 being a really strong sensation, aiming for around a 6. If you feel you need to pull back a little bit, then please do so. You can allow the jaw to relax here. couple more breaths here. Ready, very slowly and very carefully, just gently beginning to lift the forehead. Slowly come into an upright position. Taking it nice and slow, resisting any urge to wriggle around too much. Just bringing the hands behind just to support the upper body. Taking a moment to pause here. Notice how those changing sensations are moving around the body now. So from here we're going to come into snail pose. And snail pose is really the same as caterpillar, except we're lying on our back. So it's like a forward fold but lying on our back. So I'm going to demonstrate this for you now. So maybe just moving the blanket from underneath you. It's basically like plow pose, Halasana pose, okay? We don't come so deep into it for our yin though. So come into lie on your back body. Have your bolster quite handy, so you can keep it just underneath you here. And then beginning to bring the soles of the feet onto the bolster. And you want to draw the knees in towards the forehead here, like you would when you're prepping for your shoulder stand, bringing the palms of the hands down onto the lower back. I need to bring my bolster a little closer. Okay, so you can even bring the bolster under your hips if it's not too big. Okay, so you're bringing the hips up and over like you would for your plow pose, and see if you can wedge that bolster in under the back. Okay, so you'll find then that the hips relax because we're here in yin, so you know we're holding the poses for a lot longer. Normally we'd have our palms of our hands on the lower back, but we want the bolster or the pillows to wedge underneath to support us, to stop us from falling back out. Okay, so again we're creating this compression here in the torso where the organs are, so allowing the upper thighs just to release down. Okay, so the legs don't have to be straight, we're just creeping this weight onto the upper body here and bringing the arms alongside, palms face up. So it feels like that compression in the belly. The same as our caterpillar pose, but we're just lying on our back body. It might feel a little bit more challenging. You might feel a little bit more compression in the throat and the neck here, like you would in your shoulder stand. So don't get moving the neck here. If it feels too much, then you're drawing that bolster or pillows further away from you, so you don't have to have the hips so high. The longer you stay here, you'll notice the legs begin to get a little heavier, and you'll have that stronger sense of compression in the torso. Soften the face here, soften the jaws. Allowing the legs to grow heavier and heavier. Taking a couple more breaths here now. You're going to very slowly prepare to come out of the pose. So just beginning now to draw the knees away from the torso, bringing the feet back down onto the floor. If you've got that bolster, see if you can push it away now. You can bring it to the backs of the knees now. Just allow the sacrum, the lower back to settle. So see if you can come into your constructive rest pose here, just by allowing the knees to rest against each other. Bring the hands to rest on the belly. And just bring your awareness to the sacrum, the hips, lower back. Notice any sensations there. So our forward folds are really good for creating space in the lumbar spine. So when we sit a lot, we become very compressed in the lumbar spine. So that pose, when we're in snail, because we're adding a little bit more compression to that forward fold, it feels a lot stronger. Allowing the body now just to soften. And just gently moving your pillows, your bolster to one side. You're just going to release here the lower back. So I want you to bring the feet nice and wide, knees nice and wide. And just allow the knees to fall over to the right side. So we're just releasing that lower back. We're keeping the gaze up at the sky or the eyes closed. So when we've been in quite a deep fold like that, we want to resist that urge to hug the knees in or just releasing it through these twists. So we're just going to bring the legs over, the knees over to the left side there. Just enjoying that release for the lower back. We're going to come all the way back to your centre. We're going into our final Yin pose. For this one, you're going to need the wall. If you don't have the wall, then you can come into the seated version of this pose. This is going to be Dragonfly Pose up the wall. So I'll show you what it looks like. If you don't have a wall, you can come into the seated version. You're going to bring the left hip or the right hip as close to the wall as you can, and then you're just swinging the legs up. So you can feel the sit bones touching the wall here, the backs of the legs touching the wall. Okay. This is our legs at the wall pose, but coming into our dragonfly, we're beginning to now draw the heels apart from each other. So you're beginning to fit it on the inside of the thigh. So we've done the seated version of this before. If you don't have a wall, feel free to come into the seated version now. Okay, so you're just drawing the heels away from each other. You'll find when we do the one at the wall that it might feel a lot deeper because the weight of the legs are drawing out more, because it takes more effort to keep them up. So you'll feel it quite strong on the inner thighs here. And place the hands on the belly. We'll just be here for 2 minutes. Just allowing the sacrum, the hips, just to release down into the earth. So if you can allow the legs to relax, the feet to relax. If you want to come deeper into this pose, and you have, not many of us have sandbags at home, but normally if you place sandbags on the inside of the thighs, you can come a little deeper as well. You'll notice the longer you're here that the legs begin to kind of come a little wider. So it's that thing of notice that when the nervous system knows it's safe, it allows the body to open and relax. Just taking a couple more breaths here. And very slowly prepare to come out of the pose. Really important that we do it nice and slow. If you're seated, or if you have the legs at the wall, doing one leg at a time, starting with the left leg, taking it with the hands, bringing it to the centre. It's really important that you're supporting it with the hands, coming over to the right, drawing that right leg to centre. Pause in here for a moment, whether you're seated or legs at the wall. Staying present with any sensations of the inner thighs, the outer hips. You can feel sensations of heat in the body. When you're ready now, just gently, again, using the hands, beginning to bend one leg at a time. Soles of the feet on the floor or soles of the feet on the wall. Pausing here. When you're ready now, you're exhaling to roll over onto your side. And when you're ready, coming to lie down on your mat now, getting yourselves nice and comfy, nice and cozy for your final relaxation pose of Savasana. So really important that we finish in a nice neutral pose. Going to lie on your back body, legs are straight, allow the feet to fall out to the sides. Hands to either rest on the belly or palms of the hands face up towards the sky. Taking these final few moments now, allowing the body to settle in a neutral pose. And as you're here in your final resting pose, I'm going to read you a short poem called How to Be an Ocean by Matt Haig. You haven't failed in a moment of sadness. You haven't lost in a moment of defeat. You are not a statue standing in an internal contrapposto. You are a thing in motion, a rising tide, a cresting wave. Your vast depths witness every marvel, every wonder. You are then marvelous and wonderful. So don't fight the moon. Allow every tide and give all your wreck ships the space to hide. You are then marvelous and wonderful, so don't fight the moon. Allow every tide and give all your wreck ships the space to hide. Beginning now to bring your awareness back to your body. If you want to stay in your Shavasana and feeling free to rest a little longer, you want to make your way out of the pose, beginning to bring some gentle movements now to the fingertips and toes. Gently turning the head from left to right. And when you're ready, in your own time, coming to lie on one side for a restful breath here. In your own time, slowly making your way to a seated position. Palms together at heart center, Anjali Mudra, connecting the yin with the yang. We'll finish with 3 inhales through the nose, sign out with the mouth. Nice deep inhale. Letting everything go. Nice deep inhale. Letting everything go. One last inhale. Taking a moment to be grateful for your practice, for all the benefits you felt in your body, in your mind and in your heart. Namaste. Thanks guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Hope you're feeling nice and zen and nice and relaxed, and enjoy the rest of your Friday evening, the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you